Welcome back to World Drum Club. I'm Kalani, your host and teacher, and in this lesson I'll be showing you how to play the Cabasa. Before we get to the Cabasa, I want to show you where the Cabasa came from. So what we originally had was an instrument like this, which is a rattle. It's made from a gourd, and you can see that there's a net of shells in this case. Sometimes we have beads or other things, and there's many cultures around the world that have this type of rattle, and you can play this rattle this way. You can hold on to the rope here, the string, and you can pull it, or you can move the gourd body. You can also cup the shells and turn it, and you can tap it on the top. And there's other ways you can play the rattle. A couple of those ways I just showed you are the same ways we're going to play the Cabasa. So I wanted you to see the father or the grandfather of the Cabasa. The Cabasa, you see, has similarities. It's got a handle, it's got a body that is made out of a cylinder, and the cylinder is covered with what we call serrated metal. So it's got a texture to it on the inside, and then around the cylinder we have some metal ball bearings or chains of beads, and we have many of them, and they are loops, and then of course we have a cap to hold everything together. The Cabasa is more of a modern invention, so it doesn't really have a tie to any particular country or tradition. It was actually invented in the United States, in New Jersey, in the 1950s. But it was invented to emulate the rattle, and there's a few ways we play the Cabasa that are similar, and then there's some that are different than the way we play the rattle. So this is a medium-sized Cabasa. This is a large Cabasa. So there's different sizes, but the techniques are pretty much the same. I like to start off by showing people what I think of as like the door handle or doorknob technique, where you place the Cabasa in your hand like this, grab the handle, and you're just going to twist it like a doorknob, and you can turn it one way only or both ways, depends on the rhythms you want to play. Then we can also play it like a shaker, like a rattle. So shaking the Cabasa back and forth. And similar to the tambourine technique, we can use our other hand to strike and get some accents. I can also combine this technique and the striking technique. So that's what it sounds like on the medium-sized Cabasa. Let's try it on the large Cabasa. Similar sound, a little bit louder. This size would be great for adults or older kids, like teenagers. This size is good for anyone except for very young kids, and there are some Cabasas that are smaller than this. So if you're working with early elementary school age children, like 5 to 8 years old, then you might want to go with a smaller Cabasa. Those are the basic techniques. So that's where you'd want to start yourself. And the best way to get better, of course, is to play along with music that you like, something rhythmic. It can be traditional music or it can be popular music. It doesn't really matter. As long as you enjoy it and it has something rhythmic that you can connect with, that's how you can practice. And that's how I recommend you ask your students to practice. Why? Because that's going to be motivational and it's going to be fun and they're going to do it. Once you've mastered some of the basic techniques, like this, meaning you can not only do it, but you can do it musically in rhythm with the music, and you've mastered the shaking technique, then after you've got those, then you could try what we could call level 2 or an advanced technique, which is similar to what I showed you on the tambourine, where you're going to strike down beats and up beats. So you can use the shaking technique. You'll strike down and then you can move your hand around and strike on the way up. When you do this, the shaking motion does not change. That's steady. That stays. The thing that changes is where your hand is, and therefore it produces different accents in the rhythmic cycle. But this stays the same. All right, so that's level 2, and that's something that you can work on, play along with your favorite music, and practice. And then I'm going to leave you with one more technique that you can start to practice. For this technique, the beads need to be a little bit loose, so it might be more difficult on a brand new Cabasa, and you might find it useful to try to play it enough so the beads become a little bit loose. So that'll be easier. And what we're going to do is this. And what we're doing there is raising the Cabasa and we're striking it on the way up. And we're turning. And then when we get to the top, we stop. And we can extend the rotation of the beads by lowering it, because then the gravitational force is not as great, so we are producing less friction, and we can allow the beads to spin longer. So here, and maybe you can try it with just turning. So that's an effect that you can work towards, but start with the basics and master the basic Cabasa technique, and then once you're ready, move on and add more techniques. Don't try to start with the fancy stuff, all right? But those are some things you can try. I'll be giving you all some music tracks you can practice with, and you can watch some of our other videos at Music Capsule and World Drum Club to find more ways to play and enjoy the Cabasa in the music that you make. I'm Kalani with World Drum Club, and I want to thank you for watching. I'll see you in a future lesson.